Hello, welcome to Bespoke Unit. In today's video, we're going to be looking at if and how you should relight your cigar when it's gone out.
Hello and welcome to Bespoke Unit. I'm CP.
I'm Paul Anthony.
And I'm Klaas Kelner.
And in this video, Klaas is going to show us what happens now that our cigars have gone out.
And if you should even relight them, how long you can leave them for, etc. So here are two that Shaw and I have prepared earlier. We just did a review. We just did a review of the Winston Churchill Traveller edition from 2019, and I was so mesmerized by that fantastic video that I forgot to smoke my cigar and it went out. But this was perfect segue into this video. So, you know, this is probably only about a third smoke. So in this instance, this is going to be fine to relight, correct?
Yes. You guys have to understand that we all fall into the trap. We talk too much, we get distracted, and we do not pay the attention that a cigar deserves to a cigar. You know, and I'm gonna start this with a joke that my father is known for. We always like to say that cigars are like women, and you can start a relationship with a woman, and it is your job to keep that fire of that relationship going, right? And yes, you could mess up, you could be at fault at some moment, and your fire might die. But it's always possible to relight that in relationship with your lady. And the problem is that even though you relight it, there will always be that harsh aftertaste of that one moment she forgot, you messed up. Because she will never forget that one moment you let the fire die. So very, very careful with your women and your cigars.
And that's not just a joke, that's a life maxim.
That's a massive life lesson. So maybe we should start with life lessons with the Kelner. So.
But you can relight it, right? One thing to notice is that if you just lay a cigar there, right, and then hours have passed, I would not suggest relighting it. I mean, if it's been half an hour, it's been 45 minutes. In the factory, we sometimes have to go into the factory, come back, our cigars are off. You relight it. There might be a little bit of a harsh aftertaste, especially at the beginning, but your cigar will catch up and it should be fine, especially if the smoke hasn't been sitting in it. Because what happens is that the smoke is traveling through the cigar, and if you let it sit and it turns off, the residue of the smoke stays inside the cigar. It's kind of like if you find this ashtray full of ash the next day, right? And it smells of ash, you know, it smells like an ashtray.
It's not nice to get a good smell of ash.
Yeah, it's not great. Oh, the ash jokes. And
I'm sure we'd make many clangers if we were speaking Spanish or pronunciation. So,
but basically, you want to make sure that your cigar hasn't been sitting for too long.
So if you knew that you were going to, say, for instance, go into the factory, would you actually blow on the cigar to put clear air in there?
So there is definitely a purging process that can help for that harsh aftertaste. But the first thing that you want to do when you're going to relight it is definitely ash what's left. So you see this? May I do this?
Yeah,
for you?
please demonstrate.
So this is a cigar that's completely off. You can see it is about right here where it stopped burning, right? The tobacco has been consumed a little bit, and
see it's contracted a little
and
bit
it's contracted there a little bit. That's more or less where your cigar went off in the inside, right? The outside, it's a very thick wrapper, it's very oily, and the outside turned off sooner. It was exposed to the outside environment. Inside it was insulated, and the fire kept going, and it kept going inside. If you're just relighting it on the outside, on the top, what's gonna happen is that your cigar is gonna keep tunneling on you, because this right now, if you ash it properly, you can see it has tunneled on you.
Yeah, and Charles looks the same as well.
Yeah, I de-ashed mine earlier, and wow.
Yeah, so inside it went all the way up to here, and now your job is to catch up. So I'm a fan of using a torch, especially in this scenario, where you can actually go all the way around, and literally it's going around it, not inside it so much, and just helping it catch up. All right?
Okay, that's interesting. So it's not, so you I know when I typically relight, you know, I wouldn't adopt this method. So
No, I normally do it straight on the foot, but this is interesting.
Because remember, it burned all the way up to here. So you gotta see more or less where it continued, right? Because you have to catch it up so that it's even. That way, when you continue smoking it, it catches up and it doesn't continue tunneling on you. Now, this is not something that you do for somebody else's cigar, but you would probably blow some air into it to help feed it oxygen and help the burn line continue. So now you see it's catching up, right? It's now white. So it's been a perfect combustion up to this moment. You might want to help it a little bit more. And then what you might want to do is maybe ash it a little bit more. See, it's going to be a little tougher, but you want to ash it a little bit more, especially on the corners. Not so much the middle. So that you start to see that pyramid shape form again.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Right? And now at this moment, you're pretty much cut up. And then maybe you want to double check and point it at the middle to make sure that the inside is also well lit.
We actually have a video where we discuss like reading the ash and discussing different ash topics, so that will be in a link above me here as well. It's actually very interesting.
Very interesting.
So at this moment you see white ash all over,
Sure.
right? And now you got this pyramid shape. What you might want to do is maybe you want to help it, but you might have a little bit of an aftertaste. If you don't, that's because we lit it perfectly, right?
It tastes pretty good to me.
If you are doing this too quickly and you're just feeding oxygen and your ash is not white and it's black, that means there has been an incomplete combustion. Right? So if you keep smoking that tobacco that is black and it's burnt, it's gonna be very harsh. What you wanna do is let that burn line come back, recede, and then at that moment it's catching up, and when you go and take a puff on it again, everything is combusting at the right temperature. The oils are being distilled at the right temperature. If you're feeling a little bit of a harsh aftertaste, now see, now mine went off because I haven't been puffing on it. Is what some people do is that instead of taking their first couple puffs inward, they purge it and they blow out. And basically that's purging the residue out and it's not going into your palate.
Sure.
And we have found that this actually works.
Okay.
I mean, some people even have a habit that when a cigar is too harsh, some people blow out once and then they take the next puff. And they do this a lot. Now, I wouldn't suggest this doing the whole cigar because now you're just wasting half of your cigar, right? But it is very important to make sure that that burn line is all the way to the back to where it's been combusting. And then that burn line becomes thinner and thinner and it's actually receded. And then maybe you want to help it.
Sure. And then would you ever consider cutting the cigar at the point where it's burnt and start again from there? Or do you feel it's just easier to do the method you've explained?
Some people, if you have a cutter that is wide enough, right? Some people have done that. I mean, it's quicker, right? You just cut all the way to the back. But then make sure that when you relight it, again, the whole cylinder, the whole circle is actually well lit.
So maybe if people don't have a jet flame, they're not going to be able to achieve the result that you got for me. If they got a soft flame, then maybe the cutting way would be a better way.
Might be a much more efficient and much more precise way.
Sure.
Yes.
And then if you get to a cigar that's relatively short like Charles, would you consider that relightable when it gets down to like the final third, or would you just kind of let that go and maybe enjoy a different cigar?
I smoke my cigars to here.
Okay, good.
We do. We're big smoker to the nub advocates as
I mean,
well.
I smoke my cigar to there, and I don't like to waste my tobacco. But it's all about comfort. It's all about the user, and everybody is different. So some people, at this moment, they starts getting uncomfortable for them, right? And so it's really more about comfort. It's really about more your style and what you are comfortable doing, you know. But normally I smoke my cigars to there, and then at that moment I start losing comfort. So as long as I see still an inch that I can smoke, I will relight it. But I do smoke a lot of cigars, and I have a factory at my disposal, so I might have a little different of a view.
Would you say that there's a point though where the cigar is just not worth relighting if you've left it too long, for example?
If you relight it and you see that that harsh aftertaste is not leaving, that cigar probably was left there for too long.
Okay.
Also, cigars that are stronger and harsher, those molecules, those residues, those particles will be thicker, and they will probably have a stronger aftertaste. So cigars that are lighter, you might not notice that impact, and they might be more smokable even if they've been sitting down for a little longer. So it really depends on every cigar. Every cigar is different, every blend is different. But it is really about your comfort, and the consumer is always right. So really in the end, it's up to you to say, is this still smokable or it's not? But those are my tips for you so that when you go and relight your cigar, you have the most pleasant experience without having to deal with that harsh aftertaste that's gonna live a really long aftertaste and is gonna ruin your experience.
Okay, great.
Fascinating.
Any final thoughts? Or are we good on this?
I do have, it's perhaps an observation, but a little bit of a question. There's times that I've relit a cigar and I found that the aroma has changed completely, and it's not just the flavor, but the aroma itself. People around me have actually complained when I've relit it because it's become unpleasant, become acrid, it's become overwhelming. Is this, what could you comment on that?
This is probably a sign that the cigar has been left too long, or it's a sign that at that moment your cigar is not combusting at the right temperature. Sometimes, I know this happens a lot here. We are in Dominican Republic, it's very humid, right? And maybe your cigar is absorbing too much humidity from the outside, and at this moment your tobacco is not wet, but excessively humid, and it will not burn at the right temperature. That's why we have humidors, that's why we have things like in this packaging, a Boveda pack, so that your cigars are always at exactly the same humidity and perfect condition at the moment that you light your cigar or relight your cigar. It's very important to take the condition of your cigar into account when you are enjoying your cigar.
Perfect.
Interesting.
Well, thanks very much for that additional education tip, Klaas. We've had many on this trip, and it keeps on going. So please like this video if you did like it. Subscribe to the channel for many more cigar-related videos and men's lifestyle content. Check the description below for links from this particular trip. We're actually putting together a feature-length documentary on how Davidoff makes cigars here in the Dominican Republic. Also, leave any comments and questions you may have. And with all of that being said, my name's Paul Anthony.
I'm CP.
And I'm Klaas Kelner.
See you next time.
Take care.
Cheers from the Dominican Republic.
Well, Charles-Philippe and I really hope you enjoyed that video. Please also check out the full-length documentary of how Davidoff makes cigars.
And down here, there's a full playlist of our whole Dominican experience.